what I'm going to show you today is probably about what 90% of us use. And so I don't want you to be afraid of what is ALM and that kind of stuff. Once you see it, you'll be like, oh really? Is that it?
Well,
Okay.
didn't we discuss in the training that the book, which was this thick, actually, we only probably use 20% of
Yeah.
what is out in QC today?
Yep.
So that's not going to change going forward immediately. We're just going to keep doing the same thing. Change is forthcoming after that.
Yeah. And so we'll be investigating some of those other features of ALM, but for right now, what you guys have seen and what you're currently doing, once you migrate, you're going to be doing the same thing. Okay, so I've put together this little quick slide of some things that you probably want to know about. Let me see. So validate your projects post-migration as soon as possible. So as you go migrate through, go and see if your roles and all of that are still there. Some of the things that we've seen is that people thought they were signed up for certain projects, but they actually weren't. And so that's causing a little bit of churn because people are getting confused of, oh, I used to have this access, and we go back to QC10 and realize they don't have access, right? And they're trying to check out the new project. So check that out when you first get it. Kind of like QC10, ALM 12.5 desktop client is only supported by Internet Explorer. So just like it is today, just like it is tomorrow. Now there'll be a new version coming out that will be able to support or web clients basically. So you'll be able to use your Macintosh and Safari to get into QC. So I know for .com we have marketing folks that love their Macintoshes, and so they'll finally be able to get into ALM 12.5 or ALM once we get a new release of it. ALM 12.5 and QC10, you're going to have to install a new client for the ALM 12.5, and they can't coexist on your browser. So once you do the cutover and you install the new tool through the Run Advertise programs, your access to QC10 isn't going to work from your browser. So what you'll have to do is they implemented Citrix for getting back to QC10. So if you have multiple projects, some of you are like half migrated and half of you aren't, then you'll use both for the time frame. And there'll be instructions sent out when you get closer to migration. So we won't cover all of that here, but just something to note. Also, when we do the project migration, all your current users and all of the data is going to be copied. So the only thing that's going to be different is you're going to have a different URL. You're going to install the new ALM 12.5 client to your browser. You'll get in there. All the screens are going to look slightly different, but I'll go over that. Your roles, your permissions, all of that should be the same. All your data should be from that Thursday or Friday when we do the cutover to when you come back in on Monday. So everything should be there. The only other thing that we've seen is there have been some little scripting errors that have popped up. So for instance, you might get into your project and you hit the defect tabs and you get a little bit of a scripting error. So just report those, and ALM or the HP support that we've had on site has been really quick to get those things fixed. But other than that, it's been very, very minor things from the migration perspective. Okay, but we'll all be here to help support you guys for that. The other thing, along with the new client that you have to install, if you do any imports via Excel to the requirements, to the test cases or defects, there's another new plugin for your Excel, right, to match with the ALM 12.5 client. And it's pretty neat this time. They really upped it and made it a little more user-friendly. You do a quick login from one of the tabs on the spreadsheet, and then as you're importing your test cases, before you would highlight all your rows, you'd click the import it, and after a little while they get up to 50%, and then it'll tell you, oh, you got all these errors. What happens now is there's a validate button where you can click on that, and then it will highlight the cell that has a problem and give you a little note. So for instance, the title, and this particular row on the title, it can't accept these special characters, right? So it's a lot easier and quicker to find some of these errors now with this new macro.
Does it do that before?
It does it before the, it sure does. So you can validate it, it'll do that, you can go correct it, and then you can import it all in. So it's a lot nicer. Okay, so going ahead, we're going to show you the screen. This should hopefully look familiar to everybody. It's basically our login now with your name and your LDAP password. We still have the domain in the project just like on QC10, so that should look very familiar. And then here's some of the differences. So over here on the left-hand side, or on my left-hand side here, we have the dashboard, management, requirements, testing, and defects. That should look very familiar, like it does in QC10. It's just the order's a little bit different, right, from what it is today. I think management and requirements are up at the top, the dashboard is down at the bottom. So now we've got some blowouts here. So the dashboard, you have your analysis view and your dashboard view. Your management has releases, libraries. Your requirements has the requirements of the business models. And then the testing, we have the test resources, the test plan, the test lab, and the test runs. And the test runs used to be another tab on one of these, on the test lab. So now they kind of broke it out a little bit. What do we usually play with? We play with the test plan, the test lab, and the defects, most of us, right? You guys might play with the requirements, that kind of stuff, but what I'm going to demo today is basically the test plan, the test lab, and the defects. Yes?
It sounds like you stepped away from the mic.
Oh, I did, sorry. It's all right, okay. Am I back now? Okay.
That's better.
All right, so this is basically the navigation points on ALM 12, and we'll get into a quick demo here and show you what it actually looks like. Okay.
Richard, would you ask who is ever on the phone to mute?
Oh, if you've got your phone open, can you mute that, please, if you aren't asking any questions? Thank you. Okay, so here we go. Here's our dashboard, our management, our requirements, our testing, and our defects. So the test plan should hopefully look very similar to what we have in QC10. We've got our test plan tree on the left-hand side, all of our test cases here. You've got our details, our design steps. Things should look very familiar to you guys. Any parameters that you might use, configurations, things like that, requirements, coverages, linked defects. What's nice too is we have some of this rich text now down here in the description and the comments where you can bold and do different underlines and color changes, spell checks, include pictures here if you need to, right, with the little camera. So if we did that.
I think that was the feature everyone loved the best.
And what's nice too now, when you do your screenshots, you can do annotations. So I can add text to it. I can draw boxes. I can draw arrows. And for our for .com, this is nice too. So we can do these alignments here because we're always trying to align all the different boxes, things like that on the website. So we can use that too. You've got highlights. We've got a ruler. So you can do all these different things now under the screenshot, and then you can save it. So that makes it a lot nicer, a little more robust than what it used to be before, where some people were taking them out, putting them into another tool, doing a screenshot, reattaching. You can do all that now within here. So that was kind of a nice thing to see. All right, let's see here. Cancel that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Again, you can do all of the different things that you were able to do before, filtering, things like that on all your different fields. All your fields in red with the little square, those are required. Those should all carry forward. We haven't seen too many new fields on the requirements, but we did see a new field on the, I think it's on the defects tab, so I'll show you that one real quick as well. Any questions on the plan? No? Okay. The test lab, again, should just look exactly like you guys have seen before, where we're setting up our test sets for execution. Build your test sets here, your folder levels, and then start pulling your tests, right? Select your tests, go find them, and bring over whatever test that you need to build out that test set. You still have all the different columns that you've had before. You know, you can go up here, add different columns, take different columns out. So once you first get in there for your first time again, you might have to do some setup, right? Because you're basically a new instance of when you log in. So your columns are going to be a little bit out of order, things like that, than probably what you're used to. So as long as you can go back and pull those different columns, you should be okay. On the defects tab, again, all of these columns are probably going to be mixed up. So one recommendation is, do you guys know about the favorites? Kind of like a bookmark. So if you go into your QC10 and you set up your defects how you want to see them, go ahead and save a favorite, and then when you come back into ALM 12, you can go and pick that favorite and it'll rearrange all your columns to save you some time. So that's a little trick that you guys can do. One of the new fields that we have here, and some of us on different projects have created user-defined fields for this. Let's see if it's here. Had to do with this environment field. Maybe they hit it on this one. But there is a
They may have hit it.
yeah,
out of the
execution
box.
on environment. So it's basically this environment field of all the different environments we have. They've added that as an out-of-the-box field on ALM 12. So we'll see if we end up using that, because we'll have to convert everybody's fields that they've already done to map that. If it's something that's just in the way, let us know, and then we can probably hide it from the screen, and we'll go back to using just the fields that you guys already have on your projects. Defects are pretty much the same. You can do attachments, things like that. We've upped the, when we first started looking at this, there was a 400K limit on screen sizes that we found, so we bumped that up to 5 meg. So you should be able to put screenshots out there like crazy, do all the annotations, and save up to a 5 meg image. So that should be plenty for everybody. As far as attachments, I was able to upload 149 meg, 150 meg attachment with no problem. So we shouldn't be having any problems with doing any movie type files, things like that that you might need to do, as well as any documents, anything that you guys can think of. So if you do come across something, let us know, and we'll figure out how to either increase the size or a workaround for that. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. As you guys see it, it's not any rocket science. It's pretty much the same thing that we've been doing for QC10, so should be pretty straightforward, things like that. And like everybody said here, we're going to start investigating some of the new features and then possibly roll that out. But we want to go and spend some time getting some standards together and getting some knowledge on some of the other aspects of ALM 12 before people just start doing it, and then we're in the same mess that we were before, where everybody's doing it slightly differently. Okay, but if you got any questions, send me an email and or the team an email, and we'll get those figured out for you guys.
Okay, Nathan's got about 30 minutes worth of stuff to go over with us.